if you want to find out how the design agency hired 2 people sooner than planned, stick around and find out on today's episode of the R&D Tax Show. Let's go! Welcome to the R&D Tax Show, where we help accountants, tax advisors, and their clients claim R&D tax relief. So today, like I said, I'm going to talk about how a design agency quickened up the process to hire 2 new, much needed staff. So this design agency provides branding, software development, and social media management. They're quite a fairly new company. They've been around for, I think, about 5 years now. They got to about 18 employees, and they got there pretty quickly. But because they grew quite fast, and because of the type of work that they do, they were overworked, and they wanted to hire 2 employees, but they couldn't afford it at the time. So they planned to hire these 2 people a few months, I think it was 6 months from that time period. And that meant that their staff were overworked, and as a result of overworking, they were stressed. Because they were stressed, obviously at home things must not have been fantastic. So the business owners were then also stressed because their employees were stressed. Then you know what happens with stress. The productivity goes down, morale goes down, staff complain, business owners get stressed, then they take that home and they're always thinking about work. It's a vicious cycle. So what happened then? We were introduced to them, and because they're a design agency and they create software, we thought that they may do some R&D. Obviously, we didn't know at the time, but once we went to meet them, so I remember driving into their office and we sat down at a nice, actually they got a beautiful wooden boardroom table. All looks really handmade, and it's really raw. I love that table. Anyway, I met with one of the directors there, and we talked through, I think, 16 projects, and from those 16, 4 did qualify for R&D tax relief. And at that time, I could tell that the director was unsure of how beneficial an R&D tax claim would be for them. And also because I haven't claimed before, they probably didn't understand. I did explain what I expected them to get back, but it didn't really sink in. So as I mentioned, there was 4 projects that I thought that qualified. The first was creating a new CMS system. Second one was creating an online learning tool. The third was creating a CRM system for a recruitment firm. And the fourth was creating a back office system for a chain of butchers. So, excuse me. So I'll go into these into a tiny bit more detail. I won't go full on technical with you guys. So a CMS is a content management system. So for example, WordPress is a CMS, and a web developer would use that to create a website and deploy it. The problems they had was they couldn't create a website to exactly how they wanted it, and also if WordPress updated their platform, it could potentially break the website. They could also speeding up the process of creating websites because it's their platform if they created their own CMS. So they created their own CMS, and that had its own challenges, and that qualified for R&D tax. The second project was the educational platform. So what we're finding now is a lot of educational companies have found a nice entry to market for providing education direct to students. So they're at home, they can provide education to them via laptop, phone, iPad, or whatever they use. And these guys were actually quite early in. This is pre-COVID. They were early in on that, and they created the platform, the camera. So I'll give you one example of what this software does. So this software, let's say if I'm learning here, There's a class going on, I'm learning. This camera here is looking where my eyes are looking. It knows I'm looking at the screen. And their software will be able to track that to see where the students are looking, if they're learning properly, if the students are even in front of their laptop. Because if they're not in front of the laptop, where are they? They could be doing mischief. And because the education was taking place during the provider's time, they were responsible for where the students was. So that's another example of the R&D they done. The third one was a CRM, sorry. So a recruitment firm wanted a more complex CRM system. So this company created that, but also because there was so much data in the old system, they wanted to transfer the data from the old system to a new system quickly and in a way that the data was structured well in the new system. So they did that as well. And the fourth system was a back office system. And actually, this for me, I find it quite interesting. So there's a chain of butchers, and butchers don't really have websites. But this chain, some sort of subscription model where they subscribe to this chain and they get a website. But then butchers don't know how to update websites. Well, this software would enable for the butcher to log into somewhere, look at what they want to write about, and they pull it through a pre-written thing. They'd pull it through and edit it and maybe change the image. So that just made their life much easier, writing blogs and putting out content. So there are four systems in the summary. So what happened? The claim was submitted and the company got back 63k, around 63k. So what I usually do is the money's come back through. I email the client and say it's come through. It's this much. It matches with what we said it would do. And at that point, we also tell the client how much we're going to pay them because we take out our costs. So I send the email. Literally 20 seconds later, the guy calls me. And I say, "Hi, you okay?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good." And he just goes, "You went quiet." He went quiet, and I was thinking, "Is everything okay?" And he said, "Yeah, I didn't think we'd get that much money." He was in absolute shock of how easy the process was or how easy we made it for him, and now he's got this 63k less our fees at his utility to do what he wants. He was absolutely amazed. And what did they do? Well, they wanted to hire staff members down the line. 63k, they hired the staff members then. They knew the money's going to come in later on to continue paying their salary, and the growth is there. But this quick influx of cash helped them get to their goal quicker. And as a result of that, staff were happier. The owners were happier. Their owners were hitting their goals quicker. I became like a best friend, and I'm quite close to the company till this day. So, R&D tax relief can help you grow your business. It can quicken up processes such as this one. It can help you hire staff earlier. But what I find amazing is this. Let's say you've created a product, you've got a budget for this product. That's fine for your marketing, that's fine. But let's say the project also qualifies for R&D tax relief and you get, I don't know, 20, 30, 40,000 pound back. Well, that can just add to the marketing budget. If you've got a good marketing strategy, then that extra money will just help boost selling the thing you spent all that time, sweat, tears making. It just helps you get to where you want to get, like, faster. So that's today's episode. Like always, if you've got any questions, just drop it down below, or if LinkedIn, send me a message. We've also got the Facebook group, which my good friend Macaulay will put into the comments below. And I'll catch you guys next week. Goodbye.